then we'll just in case. And going forward, guys, do not expect any recording or things like that. I'll just recording because I won't post it or anything unless it makes sense. Project work is okay. So this is your issue. Let me show you. So this, you have 3 projects basically. All right, so you have IT solutions new. Because the first project I was working on, I started working first project. It turned out that this wasn't Scrum project. When I created this project, this wasn't Scrum. This was more like Kanban board or some other kind of board. So I stopped, and then I created IT solutions new. And obviously, they have a demo project they give you. So this project has everything. Like if you go here, try to go to project drop down and see if you can see multiple projects. If you can do that, that would be great. If not, I'll try to give you access. Yes, here you go. Yeah, first I'll request you guys to see if you can access this link projects.
Yes,
Yeah,
I am able to. I see
perfect.
now what you have. IT solution new.
Okay, so we're
When I
good to go,
click
right?
on project, we're good to go.
Perfect.
I have a question,
So, so now, sorry, any questions?
Yeah, I have
Yes,
one. You said,
I don't.
so you said we have to have 3 projects on the project, or no? We have the 2. I have a 2 project, skill and tech and IT solution.
If you're in a different team, you will not see 3 projects.
Okay.
And you don't need to see 3 projects. You only need that one project that you're part of.
Okay. Thank you.
If you can see all of these issues here.
Yeah, I see all of them, so it's good.
Cool. Perfect. Now we have a lot more work to do. This is just the beginning, and this is, and I'm keep repeating this. This is how the project starts. The project starts with little backlog. So when I say backlog, this is backlog, right? The backlog item. This is backlog, right? Backlog has, these are the items, right? We have these stories. There is a way you can see epics as well, right here. These are the epics. So these are all of the epics. Here you go. So you can see all the epics in the backlog and you can see all the stories. This is how work starts with little. Now it's gonna expand. We're gonna continue to build on it. So more or less we completed login functionality page. More or less we have completed homepage or the landing page. When I say completed, I'm talking about requirement point of view. We have somewhat completed, but we still need to refine it. We still need to break it down into more stories, and we need to finalize it. But at the same time, we'll continue to build on like other pages. So we have these pages, we just have placeholder, but we don't have anything underneath. So we'll continue throughout the week working on those. But your job has started last week, and I hope you have done your job. And what is your job? So before we get into those conversation, again, I'm repeating, this board is going to change. Constant change you're going to see in this board, so which is nothing but your change of requirement or finalizing of the requirement. Things like that will happen. And now going back to your job, what is your job at this point? Anyone has any idea what is it that you should be doing right now?
Analyzing the requirement.
Analyzing the requirement, right? So you're in SDLC phase. This is your SDLC, right? Look at the diagram, somewhat what we have done, right? This is what we have done pretty much. Study the requirement, system study, nothing but the requirement, right? You guys are seeing my document, right? The document with a image, STLC. I hope. So this is what you guys are doing, studying the requirement, analyzing the requirement. How far did you guys get with the requirement analysis phase?
I
So
don't think
I know.
I don't think everyone has access to it yet. So I'm planning to have a team meeting to make sure everyone's on board.
Okay, so we're gonna spend another week, and when I say another week, this week, we're gonna spend this week to continue understand requirement, because some of you just got access, some of you still didn't get access. So this is perfectly fine. Do not think it's moving slow. This is the actual work. Ask anyone that got a job in this industry. There are people sitting on the bench for 6 months doing nothing, just small conversation here and there. This is actually normal, right? We built him. If you look at this Sprint Zero work, it goes on for a long time, right? If you can see my agile diagram, right? We have iteration -1. You and I were never part of it. We don't know when and how it happens. It's in the background. All we know, it already happened before we got there. Sprint Zero, which is iteration 0, this is where we spend a lot of time. A lot of it goes into planning, team building, requirement conversation, environment setting up, architecture, and those nature. A lot of time goes on here. Who knows how long? Could be a month, 3, 6, a year, something like that. If you're hired during the construction iteration, this is when you're busy. If they hire you during the construction iteration work, this is when you're going to be very busy. But 90% of the time, I would say more than 90% of the time, if they hire you during construction iteration 0 or Sprint 0 work, and that's when you have the luxury. And again, most of the time you'll be hired during iteration 0 or Sprint 0. That's when you can spend a lot of time doing nothing. And I'm not saying you should do that, but when you get that opportunity, learn about the company, learn about their culture, learn about their project, make connections, and at the same time learn about automation or other software testing tools and things like that. You just have to think about it the way, like, I'm getting paid to learn something. That's the approach I take. Anyhow, so we are still in iteration 0, and we'll continue in iteration 0 for another week, and then we'll move on to construction iteration. We don't want to spend so much time in iteration 0. So your thing is this week, make sure you understand which team you are part of, make sure you understand what is your project, make sure you understand who is your team lead, make sure you know your teammates, make sure you make connections with your teammates. And yeah, so that's what you're supposed to be doing. And team leads, you should start your meetings. You should, so daily basis, right? I'm not saying you should literally do daily basis, but we have like a scrum call, daily scrum call. So let's say our sprint, right? So guys, we remember we talked about sprint, and what is sprint like? It's a time frame. During that time frame, the amount of work that you could complete, that's like, first you do estimation, right? Obviously estimation to understand how much can you complete within this time frame. So now from this week to next week, we have only 1 week time frame, And during this week, I'm just saying you guys should complete your requirement analysis. So that's the sprint, right? One sprint, and this is our time frame. And within this time frame, we think we can complete our requirement analysis. So that's the estimation. Let's say we have done it in the background, and let's complete that within this week, right? So that's everybody should be able to completing this. If you have any questions, let's ask questions. Let's write down your questions on an Excel sheet, and then let's share it. Let's answer it. Even like, you can go to Jira. You can go to Jira, any of the projects. You can go to Jira. Let's say you're going through username functionality. Let's open this ticket. Like, is it clear? When you get a requirement, this is requirement, right? This is nothing but requirement. When you get a requirement, you need to ask yourself multiple questions. First question is this requirement complete? Is this requirement testable? Is this requirement bounded? Is this requirement not ambiguous? Things like that you need to understand. Now let's read through this username functionality. What are we saying? Description, right? In description, we're saying as a user, I shall be able to see the username input box so that I can enter to username to log into the application. This is not clear. This is ambiguous to me. So what am I saying here? The wording needs to change. Now let's look at the acceptance criteria. Input box shall be editable. Limit for this input box is 20 digits. Letters, numbers, special characters are allowed. So somewhat clear, but not entirely clear. So your job is to ask questions. Now, how do you ask questions? There are various ways you can ask questions. Either the reason I gave you, I made 10 people on the team. So if we have everybody in the same team and same access, that's a problem. Like, if 40 people asking questions about one thing, it's going to get complicated. So now you have 2 ways to go, right? Either you can just simply go here and comment it saying, hey, I'm not clear on this. Can we talk about it, or can we get some clarity around it? So your team lead will go and make the changes accordingly. That's one thing. The other thing is, like, as a team, you can create an Excel sheet and post all of your questions there, so we don't have duplicacy. So 2 ways of communication, right? Let's just start right now. Let's just start with the Jira comment form, right? Just write something here and save it. And the person you're routing it to, just mention them here at the rate and the name. So that should be good to go. So that's your job throughout the week. Apart from that, you need to connect with your team lead, request calls, whether it's daily or every other day or a couple of times a week. At least target to have 3 calls per week based on your availabilities. It could be 15-20 minutes, could be 30 minutes call. Make sure that you have at least 3 Scrum calls. Scrum calls are daily call, right? Daily stand up. But in this case, we don't need to have daily call, and everybody has other things to do. Understand this is very, very crucial. What you're doing today onward is very, very crucial. So please, I request you to spend time, work on it. This is what is going to give you a job. This is your actual work. Whatever we have done prior to this, all we have done, we have gone about the theories and stuff. We talked about it. We gave you lectures and you just listen and hopefully learn. But here you're doing actual project work. So you need to spend your time. If you miss a day, you probably miss like 25% of the project. If you do not participate in the meetings and other ceremonies, it's going to be a problem, right? So please, I'm requesting you right now is very crucial time. And if you miss this, you're going to have a gap and you won't be able to close that gap. after completing the project, if you go face an interview, you will know everything. You don't need to memorize much because you have done the project hands-on. You will have answers to everything. What we will do during this project, we'll do everything listed here, right? You know, Scrum, product owner, Scrum master, developers, testers, epics, user story, daily Scrum meeting, product backlog, backlog grooming, Scrum of Scrum call, estimation, sprint planning meeting, sprint backlog meeting, sprint release backlog, sprint retro, sprint review, burn down chart. All of these things gonna happen here, burn up chart. So you need to participate, right? So next week we'll start actual work, but I mean, it already has started, right? We started the projects. That's mean, you know, we are working, and now it's your time. It's your turn to work on it. Your turn to start working, reacting, participating, asking questions. You need to be very vocal. You need to be a leader, and this starts right here, right now. All right, so questions, guys.
Kadir bhai, we still have yet to do story point estimation, right?
Yeah, it's not. We're still in zero, sprint zero, so this doesn't happen now.
Right.
Yes. Any other questions? So this is, assume this is an actual project, and it is an actual project. You don't need to assume. Now, this is where you ask actual questions. This is where you ask anything and everything, but at the same time, it has to make sense, right? Same time, like when you go to an actual project, they like to see aggressive people. They like to see a leader. So you need to be active, you need to ask questions, you need to ask right questions, but you cannot ask silly questions. What I mean by silly questions, you ask them questions about project related stuff. You don't ask them questions about how to be a QA. Big difference, right? You know, how to do your job, it's something you need to figure out. You need to do, but you don't ask that kind of questions. But at the same time, if you're constantly quiet on the meeting, people may think, all right, this guy is probably no good. So there are preparation, right? When you go into a meeting, you just put some work in to make sure that you're visible in the meeting. When I say visible, meaning like, you know, not literally visible, but, you know, asking questions, engaging with the team. It could be just one simple word or two, or a question or a note or anything, but just when you participate, especially now that we're in a remote world, if you don't talk, they don't know. In most cases, we don't even turn on our camera, so they don't even know who's where and how they look like. But it's always good to be vocal, to ask questions, to give suggestions, to take notes and things like that. Anyway, we will learn this during our course. So let's talk about the project, guys. What do you understand the project? What's happening? Any questions, suggestions, concerns?
I have a question, Kadir.
Yeah.
So during the project, if we need to contact our lead or talk to the lead, we'll contact by through the Jira, or we can do like we do before with the team, Microsoft team.
Microsoft Teams is your go-to-go platform. Microsoft Team is where you know you have your team set up. Your team lead is going to make sure going out of today or between today and tomorrow that everybody is in the team. So you have your Microsoft Teams right here. So let's say Team Mango.
Yeah,
Team
and I
Mango.
moved from Team Hazard to Team Mango, I see.
Yeah,
I don't know
possibly.
if it's or not.
I had to shuffle everything around. Sorry for that, because the licenses are, once I give you access, even if I revoke that access, they'll still count as one license already given. So I had to change this around. I apologize for any inconvenience, but we had to do it. So your team lead will make sure that you are part of their team, and you can see everybody that are in your team here. Also, you can see the actual team that I shared in the Excel sheet. Start your communication here. Anything and everything you can ask here. And then if you have a relevant question, you can post it in
Okay,
the
and that's one thing, because I'm on Team Hazard and I didn't get a text message from Team Mango. That's why. So
You didn't get text message from Team
from
Mango.
Team Mango, yeah. So I'm on Team Hazard. I always get message from Team Hazard.
Okay, oh no, because they didn't update it yet. They'll update it.
Okay.
They'll update it. You can also ask questions here, right? But when you ask questions here, just make sure that it's a valid questions, because this is going to be visible to the broader folks here. You should have your attachment. You just make sure that we have the acceptance criteria, we have descriptions, everything that you understand, that you're understanding. So we have different type of tickets, right? We have epics, we have stories, we have other tickets. So epics may or may not have acceptance criteria, but we must have acceptance criteria in the story.
So we
level
have
ticket.
to write the test cases for the Epic also, right?
You should be fine writing test cases for story only. Okay, so seems like somebody, look at this, somebody made changes as we're speaking. Guys, let's not make any changes. So what somebody has done, moved this ticket from this epic,
Yeah.
IT 7 username, username and password pop-up. It was under login page. Somebody made changes to moved it to epic level, epic 13, which is incorrect. So let's not do this. If you're not understanding, let's just study it. Let's study it. Let's not.
Yeah. Just also, just so everyone knows, any edits you guys do, we can check the history. So it's just best to avoid it. The other thing is, Kadir, I just want to make sure that we have this. Everyone has the same backlog. There, you guys have 16, right? Story points and epics together. I believe it's 16 total.
Yeah, it's gonna change. It's gonna change rapidly. It's going to be probably 40 tickets or whatnot. But that's fine. At the same time, like, being afraid of making a mistake, I want to avoid that. Like, fine, you made a mistake. Let's fix it. So that is perfectly fine, right? I last thing I want to do that to everyone, like that they may be scared of touching this or whatever. Everything is fixable. We can fix it, we can recover it, that's fine. But I'm just asking you, like, when you're making a changes, just make sure it makes sense. That's all I'm trying to say. Cool, fine. Any other questions? Sultan.
Yes, bye. So on the first epic, like the username and password, right? Sorry, just a second. Sorry, it's loading. Just give me a second.
That's fine. That's fine. Take it.
So I guess what I was gonna ask, like, the description and the criteria is going to be given to us, the QA from the team, right? Like the acceptance criteria, description and attachments. It's going to be given to us, and then we.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not responsible for writing those. This is going to be done by business or the product.
Okay.
You just have access to the ticket, and you just need to make sure you're reading through it and that you understand it.
Okay, and obviously after you understanding that's formal, there we go on to make the
Other stuff, right? Test cases, test
yeah, test
development,
case.
all
Yeah,
kinds of-
yeah, exactly. That was my question. All right, that's clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so guys, I believe we have enough to work with. We should, this week, we should have multiple calls to understand the requirement, but because this is going to continue, right? This board is going to grow drastically next couple of days. So you just don't assume that what's there, that's it. That's not it. There's going to be more. So start analyzing it, start understanding it, start getting yourself familiar with everything, your surrounding, your team, your leads, your colleagues. Ask right questions, and let's see what happens where we land as a team. Reach out if you have anything. If anyone does not have access, let's talk why you don't have and what can we do to solve this. Other than that, I am pretty much done. I can take any questions you may have.